Right, well, I'll check that one. That was a bit overly long, maybe. Now, the one thing I wanted to say was about the problem I've had with IPC in the past. I have worked with them. I had very friendly relations with them up until they got taken over by AOL Time Warner. Um, the previous owners had actually given me permission to use old adventure characters, the Spider, Robot Archie, Steelclaw. Egmont, as a new owners of what used to belong to Fleetway, had given me permission to use their characters. Um, this was for Looking Glass, which eventually came to something like 111 pages. Um, I started publishing, and then I got a note saying, "Oh, we can't actually print this because we've been told, by whom I have no idea, that I'm breaching copyright." And I thought, well, this isn't right. So I contacted Egmont. They said, no, we're okay with it. Contacted the new people at IPC, the intellectual properties people, who said, oh yeah, you've got to tell us what you're using, how many pages, and we'll charge you for it. I then sent them a copy of the letter that I'd got from IPC previously, and pointed out that it was all brand new material that I'd drawn and written, absolutely nothing reproduced from the past. I was told, well, yeah, okay, then just tell us what you're producing and we'll tell you what the set charge is. I pointed out again that there was no old material being used. Again, they started getting stroppy. Eventually, for some strange reason, even though I gave them the written permissions and I told them who to contact about this, it came back, oh, they're not here anymore. You know, we're a new company. You pay us for all the stuff you use. At which point again I said, I am not using any of your material. I said, this is all new material. So then they suddenly, out of the blue, sent this really nasty letter saying, oh, we're going to sue you if you so much as use one of those characters, or, you know, you stop using this character, stop using that character. And eventually, I got an email from them, and I've got copies of all these emails. My email stack is about that large, thick, dealing with IPC and this problem. Basically, what they told me to do was stop using two characters. Those two characters were characters I'd created myself back in the 1970s and had never been used by IPC. But they sort of said, oh yes, you know, when I said to them, look, take this to court. And I've now actually told them about 7 times to take me to court, because I've got all the statements and all the letters that were sent to me by previous high-ranking management and editors that could tell what the situation was at these companies, and they never have. The next thing I heard from them was, and remember they sent me these very nasty letters, was could I tell them which characters they had and the copyright. Now I've got that in black and white. They actually asked me to tell them what copyright characters they had. In fact, they haven't got any, which I'll explain in a minute. And I said, well, okay, if you'll allow me access to the library where they have bound editions and archive editions, I said it'll take about a week or 2 weeks, for which I'll need to be paid, but I will then produce a list for you of all the characters in there that you can use and claim copyright to. As it turned out, they don't, and they didn't want anything to do with it. So they then quoted to me the case of Marvel Comics versus Marvel Man. Now, I thought this is a bit confusing. So they then told me how their legal department had advised them that Marvel Comics had taken the character Captain Marvel to court and stopped it from being published because it infringed on the copyright. First of all, they're talking about DC and Captain Marvel, which is the Fawcett Publications. Eventually, Fawcett, after years, just decided to pack in, and of course, DC later grabbed the character. But Marvel Comics at the time didn't exist. They were Timely Comics, and they're confusing Marvel Man, the UK character, with Captain Marvel, and DC and Fawcett with Timely Comics and God, I wish I could remember his name now. But anyway, Mick Anglo. So that made no sense, and I pointed this out to them, and I got an irate letter back saying, "Oh, you know, you need to check up on your law." And I thought, but your legal people can't even give you the facts. They've messed this up. So I thought, well, okay, then we'll allow them to go their little way, um, and that was it. I then sent a few years later. I thought, well, all this material's going to waste. I'll contact the people that own IPC directly, and I'll say, okay, here you are, redrawn or rewritten or whatever, can it be used? And I got this email back saying, I'm sorry, we don't know anything about this because we wouldn't have been in a position to actually tell you not to use the characters if you'd had written permission from the previous owners at IPC, which was 5 years before they bought the company. Um, and I thought, great, so basically IPC's intellectual properties people were totally screwing up everything. But interestingly enough, I sent a private uh, link to the owners of IPC and whatever with the file of this project called Looking Glass, and they're the only peoples with it. Since I sent it to them, it's been downloaded 8 times. You may recall that they did a rather failed project. The artwork was great, but called Albion, and they tried to do Thunderbolt Jackson and so on. And then after that, nothing. And the main reason was they discovered that basically the copyright issue was so explosive that anyone who created comics or worked on the characters created the characters. And there's several people now claiming to have created certain characters that are now known as iconic, who never actually did create them. But it's that situation that what they used to do is they used to produce comics with film, TV, radio characters, people from Hollywood, people from the UK, totally without permission. One veteran artist, Terry Wakefield, was drawing Laurel and Hardy, and when they came to the UK, he sort of said to Amalgamated Press, "Can I get a free ticket to go there to see them because I am drawing their comic?" And he was told in no uncertain terms, "No, absolutely not. If they find out you're actually drawing them and using their images, they'll probably want money." So there's this explosive package that someone dealing with copyright law wanted to contact the descendants or the living relatives of those various comedians, actors. They could probably sue the company quite well because these were long-term strips that they did. Danny Kaye, Frankie Howard. Um, really, you think of the big Hollywood list, all the classic cinema comedians. Uh, all used by them completely without permission and making money, but without giving anything back to the creators, to the actual artists themselves. So it's a pretty sort of roundabout, crooked deal from start to finish. Um, and unfortunately, this is what the British comics industry has become. It's not an industry. There are lots of independent comics out there, some good, some quite bad. There are some um, quite dodgy where they do basically what we know as vanity press. They'll publish a comic so long as you pay the money. In which case, the person that's creating the comic might as well publish it themselves as a print-on-demand comic. Um, it's. I am actually the UK's largest publisher of black and white independent comics, um, and that's over 40 titles at the moment. And none of those would have been published for a UK company because they don't want them. They're not looking for original material. Um, so this is the situation, and lots of people working in the field uh, just don't want to rock the boat. They won't actually say, "Yeah, this is the situation. It's not that good." Um, and lots of those are taken off my list now because they did promise to support and come out and give their own stories about their dealings in the UK comics industry. So whilst I was being attacked online, only a couple of people came forward to say, "Yeah, but he's actually saying what's the truth." Um, and so I took those creators that I knew off of my Facebook friends list because if they're going to say one thing and they're not say the other, and they're not come out and do what they promised, they're not really that good of friends. Someone did actually say that I was the only person they'd ever met in the UK comics industry that said publicly what I say in private. That's because there's no point in lying about it. Facts are facts, and that's it. Everything I say is always backed up in black and white, in writing, in print, and it's just a completely terrible state. But I'm going to leave it at this now because that's going to be another rambling that's gone on. Hopefully I'll get back to something more like comic books later on. But until then, ta-ta!